Hello, hello, and good morning to everybody out there. Welcome to the third day of the Women in L&D Conference 2024. My name is Rebecca Prejean, and we are here today with Miss Kimberly Scott. She's going to be talking to us about unlocking opportunities, the power of purposeful networking. And if you know anything about L&D, a lot of what we do is about networking, connecting with the right people at the right times, connecting with the right clients, and actually giving everybody what they need to feel supported and, just well. So we're going to let Kim talk to us a bit, just a little bit about Kimberly and her stellar reputation. She's pretty well known in the L&D industry, but she started her career as a social studies teacher and transitioned into an educational technologist, providing system-wide technology training. She then moved into higher education, focusing on the strategic integration of technology into college courses. And currently, as an instructional designer, she leads an international team of over 50 professionals at K. Scott Learning Consultants, offering a range of services. So everything from LMS administration to learning strategies and solutions. She's your person to call. She is your support person. So without further ado, I'm not going to take up a lot of time because we want to hear what Ms. Scott has to say. So go ahead.
Hi, good morning. Thank you all so much for joining. Networking is a topic that I'm very passionate about, but I don't see a lot of people doing it. And there are just so many benefits, there's so many ways to do it, but people always get stumped, how do I network? Why do I need to network? And you need to network because it unlocks so many opportunities. So today, I am going to share my screen. I think everybody should be able to see my title slide. So talking about unlocking opportunities, the power of purposeful networking. And one thing that I added to the bottom of the slide is a quote from Forbes.com about 85% of jobs are filled via networking rather than traditional hiring methods. I have gotten a job before in my life that I did not interview for. I did not interview for, I didn't apply for, I didn't have to. Through networking, I began contracting with a company. They liked my work so much that they ended up hiring me full time, no application needed, no interviewing. They just put me right in there. And there are so many success stories from networking. And today, I hope that we can share some of them, not just me share mine, but you also share yours. So let's jump right into it. So let's talk about your speaker today. So I'm Kim Scott. I'm owner of K. Scott Learning Consultants, and we're a learning and development company, not just an instructional design, but a learning and development company. And we specialize in learning strategies and solutions. A lot of times I have clients that approach me and say, I know I need training, but I don't know what I need. Or I'm having a problem and I don't know what to do. So it's all about looking at the problem, developing a strategy, and devising solutions. Sometimes it's e-learning, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's other parts of learning and development. Learning management system administration, and of course, instructional design. And our website is kscottlearning.com. So, what's the number one question that gets asked of all presenters? Where can I get the slides? Are you going to share the slides? I'm pretty sure TLDC does record these events and they provide the link to them later. So, of course, that will be provided. But I hear all the time, where can I get the slides? Can you email me the slides? Will you send them to me if I send you a message? So I'm going to constantly remind you. And if we have anyone that comes in late and asks, where can I get the slides? Are you going to share the slides? You can remind them of this slide that you'll see throughout the presentation. If you want today's slides, go follow my company on LinkedIn, where we will be sharing the slides later today or tomorrow. All right, so let's jump right in. So, one of the things I want you to do before we even get started, oh, a happy little reminder, this is an engaging presentation. So, I'm going to ask you some questions. It's not just me as this networking god, it's me that knows a little bit about networking, had a little bit of success, and I want to share it with you. But I also want you to be able to share with others, even if you've never done networking. So, let's start with this. In the chat, I want you to give me a number from 0 to 5. Rate your networking skills. 5 means you're a networking pro. You're networking all over the place. You've had success. You got so many stories to tell. 4 means you're pretty good at it. You've been doing a pretty good job. You've been trying various things. 3 means you're average. You're doing it here and there. 2 means you tried it at least once or twice, but you're not so good at it. 1 means you're not good at it at all. You tried it or you researched it, can't figure it out. And 0 is I just have never tried it at all. So I'm going to pause here. Let's take a look at the chat. So I'm going to stop sharing momentarily. And let's see if we can. And just so you know, I have several of these questions where we're going to engage with you guys. And then afterwards, you all, I'll probably, check and see if you have questions. So let's take a look at the chat. I'm seeing a lot of 3s, a couple of 0s. 0s are great. That means you have nowhere to go but up. I see some 3s. 3 seems like the most popular answer. We've got a couple 2s. Oh, look at 4. Some people are creative. 4.2. I love that. 4.2. We've got some 4s coming on down to the bottom. All right. So it seems like we're kind of in the middle. We've seems like everybody's at least tried networking, done some. We've got a couple of 1s. And I'm going to check the chat really quickly. To network, is it okay to share our LinkedIn profiles in the chat or somewhere else? Well, Jill, I will call you the advanced placement student because it absolutely is okay to share. That is one of those secret strategies. Sometimes when I'm on webinars, it could be a webinar with have nothing to do with L&D. At the end, I love to share my LinkedIn profile. Now that I have a business, I like to share both of them because you don't know who's going to follow you, that you're going, when you share content or some of your samples of work, who may see that and say, let me tell my boss about it. We need some help over here. Or, hey, I have my own company and I like to hire you for XYZ. So it absolutely is okay to do that. Okay. And someone else is interested in tips and tricks for people with social anxiety or other challenges. I think we've got a couple of things that'll definitely help you there because I have more than a traditional, let's go to a networking event and shake a bunch of people's hands. That's not for everybody and it doesn't meet everybody's situation. All right. And networking tips when looking to do a career pivot. We'll see if we can fit some in. All righty. We're going to share our slide again. So thank you for sharing that information with me or with us. All righty. And we're right back to it. All right, so today one of the things we're going to do is define or rather decode networking. We're going to break it down because a lot of people say, well, I don't know what networking is, or they think, oh, I have to find a networking event and I have to dress up and I have to go meet a bunch of CEOs and shake hands. Not necessarily. Explain some networking strategies. There are a number of ways to network, and that old school going to an event and shaking hands isn't all that it is in 2024. We're going to list some networking opportunities, and at the very end, we should have enough information to get us a networking plan going. So if you're already networking, you may want to revise what you're doing. You can get some new ideas. If you haven't started networking, you can get some strategies here and pick a thing or two to try tomorrow. All right, so let's decode networking. What's the fundamentals? So to start off, what's networking? It means we're building a relationship with other people where we can help each other professionally. How are you helping each other? You can exchange information, resources, support. They can introduce you to someone else who can help you. They can put you in a better situation. They may tell you about grants or free resources that are up there. So let's talk about, from that definition, what are some of the fundamentals for networking? What has to be there for networking? Well, it has to be two or more people. You can't network with yourself. Okay. So it has to be at least two, but it can be an infinite number of people that you can network. Now, keep that in mind when we talk about some of our strategies later. There's an exchange of some kind of value. Okay. In the best networking situation, multiple people in it are getting value. So if there's two people, both of them are getting some kind of value out of the conversation. It doesn't have to be the same value. Sometimes I've had people come to me and say, hey, you transitioned from teacher to instructional designer. I like to have a conversation with you. And people always ask me, well, why do you do that? You're getting nothing out of it. Yes, I am. I'm becoming more confident. Sometimes in those conversations, people tell me, Kim, you're really good at this. Maybe that's a business opportunity for you. Or Kim, hey, you're really good. I think I know someone that may want to hire you. So you never know what kind of value, but in the best situations, there is some kind of value exchange. Now, value is relevant to the person. So it could be, anything to anybody. And most importantly, some kind of connection or relationship is built. I think this is what a lot of people forget about networking. They think it's all about exchanging business cards and how many business cards can I get?
Hey,
Frankly,
Kim.
mhm,
Can you change we're getting some comments about the size of the slide. It looks like you might be sharing like the speaker portion.
sure. My apologies.
No.
Let's take a look. All righty. Give me one moment. Let's see if we can get that switched up. All right. I think I've got it. So let me reshare. Thank you for that. I would have never known. On my screen, it is showing me everything.
Yep. Technology does what it wants to do when it wants to do it.
Mhm. It does. And typically I turn presenter view off because I rarely use it. But we're going to try this again. Now, let me know, is it any better?
Yes, it looks beautiful.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. Thank you all for that feedback. Lastly, what are things that don't matter or aren't fundamental to network? The platform you use, whether it's in person, whether it's virtual, whether it's synchronous or asynchronous, or how many people are involved. You could literally be sitting at a park bench and network and get some of the most value out of that connection or relationship than you would if you were in a conference with 1,000 people in the room. Okay, so those things aren't fundamental. Don't get caught up on shaking hands. Don't get caught up on, I don't have a business card. Don't get caught up on, oh, well, I don't feel like dressing up and wearing heels today. It does not always happen at professional events. I've literally, I'm in a group with some IT professionals that own businesses, and I literally heard of somebody getting a contract at the gym. Yes, at the gym with sweat clothes on and sweat on their face. All right. So what do we always want to start with in L&D? What are the benefits or what's in it for me? So these are just some. I didn't say all, but some of the benefits that you can get from networking. Some of them I've seen, some of them have been shared with me. You can get jobs or clients, customers for business. As I gave you that quote from Forbes, there's a lot of backroom networking, people that know each other and they know someone's skill set or they like their personality and they put them in jobs. You get to know others in your industry, related industry, or potential customers. You heard me say I was networking with IT professionals. Some of those are potential customers. Some of those people, they're competing for IT jobs, but they could care less about an LNG job and may want to slide me right in there. Okay. It also helps you know other people in your industry and who knows what, who you might want to align to. It helps keep you up to date on what's the latest trends and information. Personally, you improve your communication skills. You learn to do your own elevator pitch. You learn about your speaking ability. The more you talk to people, the more you get to know people. It also helps build your confidence. Like I said, after a while, you'll start to figure out what your niche is. People will give you feedback and tell you what your niche is. You'll get new ideas, information, or resources. You will build your brand. I didn't say business brand. I said your brand. Because whether we have a business or not, everyone has a personal brand. You may be known as the PowerPoint slide girl, the visual design guy. Oh, he's really good at making graphics. They are so helpful when it comes to speaking in front of a group of people. I once had a colleague, and every time there was a presentation to go before leadership, she was the one I went to. Why? Because I had branded her as the girl who can make great presentations. It builds your credibility. The more you speak at conferences, the more you network, the more you add value to conversations, people start to realize who knows what they're talking about and who doesn't. So it helps build your credibility. It helps you determine your strength. And again, it can help you advance your career. Now, that isn't always, oh, I got a new job or a promotion. You may become leaders of an employee resource group. It may show you other skill sets where then you want to transition. That question we had earlier in the chat, someone asked about a career pivot. Start networking with people in that field. Where do they go? Are they on Slack? Are they on GitHub? Do they do in-person events? The more you network with those people, the more you hear terms, you get to know people. I heard of someone networking with government contracts, and a contracting officer just took her under their wing and said, I'm going to show you the ropes about how to get government contracts. And she's gotten one. So again, that was an area she was new to. She wanted to pivot into. She started by getting to know people in that industry. And some people with just a good, kind heart will look out for you. All right, so here's another in the chat question. So earlier I had you rate yourself from 0 to 5 on your networking skills. Now, I want you to think back on the rating you gave yourself. If you rated yourself a 3 through a 5, what are the benefits have you gotten from networking besides what I have named? And if you've had some from what I've named, that's fine. But are there other benefits you've got out of networking that I may have left off? Put it in the chat. All right. If you rated yourself a 0 through a 2, which means you've never networked, you've tried a little bit, you're still getting off the ground, which of the benefits that I listed would you like to get from networking? Put that in the chat. So again, if you're a 3 through a 5, give me some other benefits of networking. If you're a 0 through a 2, which benefits from this list would you like to see from networking? I'm going to share it. I'm going to leave this list up for a moment to give you a chance, and then I'm going to take a look. All right, let's take a look at the chat. All right, got a lot of people looking for jobs and customers in this economy, in this job market. This job market is very different than the one we had in 2021. So it's all good and well to look on platforms like LinkedIn and apply for jobs, but you may want to try some different things like networking. Okay, get jobs, people wanting to build their brands. Just get to know other people. Very good. I like that. They want to have Kate wants to have new ideas or ways to prevent information. Very good. Very good. Like to see the career path. That's a good idea. If you want to take a career pivot, I've heard of people like going to boot camps, paying all this money to career pivot, and then realizing this isn't for me. So networking allows you to talk to various people in the industry and not just hear the top voices or, unfortunately, the loudest voices. You're able to network with all types of people. Knowledge sharing. Good, 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 good. All right, let's jump back in. We're getting deeper and deeper into it. I love it. All right, no presenter view this time. I'm double checking. I'm listening to you guys. All right, so let's talk about what successful networking can look like. Let's paint a picture in your mind. Like I said earlier, a lot of people, when I say networking, I don't feel like shaking all those hands. I don't have any business cards. No one said that's what it had to look like. That is the first one. It can be someone at a networking event, a conference, shaking hands, but it can also look like someone on a computer talking to a group of people on Zoom, someone talking to someone else while walking their dog, someone making a comment to respond to a post on Facebook. So I'm going to share two quick little stories for you. On the second bullet, I was invited, or somehow I saw a networking event for entrepreneurs in L&D. I think it was on LinkedIn. I attended that networking event, and some people had some questions. No one was answering. I knew a little bit. I'm always going to say I know a little bit, even though people will tell me I know a lot. So I decided to give some answers. And a lot of people was like, wow, Kim, that's really insightful. Wow, that's good information. About a month later, I had someone invite me to a job or a project for my business, and I said, the pricing just isn't right. Well, someone I met on that networking group happened to know the person and told them, you need to raise your rates. If that's what she's charging, she's really good. You need to raise your rates and make it work with her. And the person actually listened, and that was one of my biggest contracts, all from someone I met on a networking group, all from information I shared. Now, the key there was not just I was sitting there and I typed a little bit of information. When people had questions, I didn't just answer. I answered and added value where people had feedback like, that's a really good idea. That's a really insightful answer. So it's not about just being there. It's about adding value. It's about establishing a relationship. Because that person did that for me, I made sure I reached out to them and said, what can I do for you in return? Let's establish a relationship, you know? And then let's talk about the last one. I tell people all the time that I network on Facebook, and they were like, oh, Facebook is for horrible, videos of people's dogs fighting. And how are you getting jobs or clients off of Facebook? It all depends on how you do it. There are literally thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of groups on Facebook. Anybody can start a group for any number of things. There are a lot of professional groups on Facebook, but not just Facebook, LinkedIn, Slack, Reddit. There's just all these social media platforms, and they have groups. And you can join the groups where we talk about professional things. No, we're not sharing pictures of your nephew. We're literally talking about projects, trends in L&D. Who has a job coming open? And sometimes people are asking for suggestions. This is how you network on Facebook. All right, so here's your commercial break. What did I tell you at the beginning? If you want today's slides, make sure you follow K Scott Learning on LinkedIn because that's where they'll be shared. All right, So let's talk about some real world networking examples. Again, these are just a few examples that I'm going to share to you that if you think, I want to try this networking thing out, try it out today. The Women in L&D conference has networking tables hosted by different individuals. Join some of those tables, get to know someone, and I want you to do two things: establish a connection slash relationship and add some value. Because I think a lot of people go into networking situations, gimme, 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 and they don't think about what they can give. It's a give and a take. Now, I'm not saying you give instantly and not, endlessly and not getting things back, but let's make sure it's a two-way street. Add some value and establish that relationship. Look at some social media professional groups. Like I said, Facebook, LinkedIn. There are a lot of Slack groups for L&D. There are Slack groups from things that are related to L&D, like customer education. Well, customer education is a form of training or learning and development. There may be one for HR professionals that provide training. Take some time to look through Slack, to look through LinkedIn, search for things like LMS administration, e-learning, visual design, graphic design for learning and development, people who host virtual led training. Just try different keywords on these platforms, see what comes up. Of course, the old school way, in person or virtual conferencing. Again, you all have the opportunity to network now. You are able to share your LinkedIn. I saw some people in the comments responding to each other's. There you go. That's an easy way to network. Check out some professional weekly meetups, and we're going to talk about a couple of groups in L&D that does that. But don't forget, you can do one-to-one sessions with other professionals. Recently, I saw someone in L&D, and I've been thinking about doing this, who said, I want to get to know more people in the field. If anybody's interested in a one-to-one session, let's chat. And I scheduled one, and I've actually had a couple of conversations. I'm thinking about doing that. It's good to network with like-minded individuals, individuals who you can help grow or they can help grow you, because you never know what that can turn into. Also, remember we had someone who said they may have social anxieties, they may be more of an introvert, they don't like the whole group setup. You may not want to be around a COVID outbreak. So one-to-one sessions are really good. That can look like you inviting someone out for lunch, for coffee, having a virtual one-on-one on Zoom. It can be as long or as short, but these types of things like the one-to-ones, the weekly meetups, or using social media, which is an asynchronous form, to get on Slack may be better for you if you're more introverted or have more social anxieties. Collaborating with other L&D professionals in your company. So if you're a full-time employee and you work with other L&D professionals, for instance, I was an instructional designer for a software project. Well, there were other L&D people who might have been doing L&D or instructional design in HR. Totally different departments, way across the company, nothing to do with me. I would set up conversations with them because they're still L&D. Things that they're doing or software that's available to them, I may not be aware of. So think about inviting those people to lunch. Where appropriate, invite them over to see some things you're doing, because when they look at what you're doing, they may naturally share what they're doing. Consider employee resource groups in the workplace. Now, what is an employee resource group? Those are groups of individuals that a lot of times larger companies like your Amazons, even some smaller companies after they have hundreds of employees might start. I've heard about groups like Black and Microsoft, or I've heard a group, for people of color and different things like that. Why can't you start an L&D resource group? Okay. I actually, at my last company, that's one of the things we did. We didn't wait around. We didn't ask the CEO. We had Microsoft Teams. we went in there, we started a Teams group for people in L&D within XYZ company. And we just spread the word to other L&D people. So when it was cool software coming out, we would share it in Teams and people could comment. When people had questions, that was another less not go outside and exchange business cards way we were able to network. Now, if you don't see these things, start one. Literally, I was talking about these networking examples in L&D the other day. I posted in several Facebook groups and LinkedIn asking people to share their favorite networking place, and somebody decided to create an inclusive learning and development Facebook group. Exactly. She didn't see anything out there that talked about accessibility and learning and development or being inclusive in instructional design. So you know what she did? She went out there and started one. So sometimes you have to be the solution to a networking problem. I do LMS administration, and there's all these instructional design groups, but nowhere to discuss LMS admin. Except if you went to a particular platform like Moodle or LearnWorld. Well, if you discuss things in their Facebook group, they're going to tell you they're the greatest thing in the world. So I didn't see a group for one. So I said, you know what? I'm going to start one. That group has over 3,000 people today. It had, I think, over 1,000 within its first month. So if you don't see these networking opportunities, start one. Start a trend. All right. So I've shared with you some conventional networking opportunities like conferences, one-on-ones, and I'll share some non-conventional ones with you, like using social media, starting your own employee research group. In the chat, share some other non-conventional networking opportunities that we could potentially add to the list. So I'm going to give you a second to do that. Again, non-conventional networking opportunities. It's not a conference. It's not a big event with shaking hands. Let's take a look at the chat. And then I'm also going to check up on your questions. Oh, I love this one. Thank you, Bridget. Bridget said volunteering opportunities. That is a wonderful one. You're helping the community, but you never know who you'll meet. And I've heard about that. Bridget is one of those people where I reached out to and said, hey, Bridget, I've seen you on several platforms and we've chatted. Let's chat one-to-one. So wonderful. Podcasting. I love that. Being on committees, talking to your neighbors, hobbies, church group, book clubs. Oh my God, this is someone said out training for a marathon. So you're getting fit and getting a job. I love it. Love it. Travel meetups. Very good. Talking to other parents at your kids' schools. Wonderful. Vendors you work with. I've actually tried a little bit of that. Let's say I have a graphic designer and he does graphic design work for me, but has no interest in doing training. He meets a client that says, oh, I want you to create, some graphics for some training, but I'm having trouble trying to figure out how to get it done. He may connect the two of us. So think about who you know that could connect you with other people. I'm loving all this volunteering. Social gathering for people in other industries. I love that because there's like almost 0% competition. So if you know you want to do L&D and HR, you can go to an HR conference. There may be, there may be 10% of the people there that are there for training in HR, but most of them are just there for HR. Very good. Very good. These are excellent ideas. Oh my gosh, I hope we can save this chat. All right. Sports groups. That's again, I like how these examples that you all are sharing, they're accomplishing, as an old boss used to say, they're doing one thing and checking two boxes. So if you're on a sports team, you're getting fit, but you're possibly getting a business opportunity. Wonderful. All right. You guys mastered that. All righty. Let's jump back in it. think you guys are a lot better off than you think with networking because you all are doing an awesome job. And again, if you're brand new, you're learning a lot. All right, let's talk about problems and solutions in networking. I hear all the time about all these problems that people have with networking. Well, I came up with a couple of solutions. I wouldn't be surprised if you all double the solutions. So let's talk about number one. I don't have enough time and I'm too busy. I just don't have enough time. Okay. Find smaller ways to network. Again, it doesn't have to mean dressing up in a business suit and a tie and walking in a networking event and handing out 100 business cards. It can mean going to being in a professional Facebook group, a virtual lunch and learn, lunch with others. You got to eat lunch. I hope everybody's eating lunch. So think about this. Think about meeting up with somebody at your company and saying, hey, let's go to lunch together and let's talk about X, Y, and Z, or maybe how we can benefit each other. Um, you can also do it again with social media groups. I like Facebook. I don't post a lot on my personal page, but I love it for all the professional groups. So while I'm scrolling, seeing the latest thing in the news, I'm also seeing, oh, what's the newest trend in L&D, how people are using AI and L&D. So find small ways to embed it throughout your day or throughout your week where it doesn't feel like you have to stop working and stop everything you do and get out. There's no opportunities to work in my area, or I work from home. Now I think a lot of people now are accustomed to people working from home, but what I think gets left out is people in rural areas. Now, fun fact about me, I'm from a small town you've probably never heard of, Clarksdale, Mississippi. It may have 20,000 people, okay? There's not a lot of networking opportunities there. There's only 20,000 people, okay? It's Mississippi. It's in the middle of the Mississippi Delta. There are professional networking groups, and there's a lot of groups trying to do good work down there, but I'm just not going to run into 1,000 L&D people there. It's just not going to happen. Okay. So if you're in a rural area, even if you want to get out and be the extrovert, there's just not that opportunity there. And you may have to drive 2 hours, which just isn't feasible. If you work from home, you don't have coworkers. So what's some solutions there? Check out virtual networking opportunities like online conferences such as this one. A lot of groups will like TLDC, GLDC, and there's a lot of individuals that have weekly meetups. Start joining some of those, learning, thinking about a way you can add value. Again, schedule a one-to-one coffee chat that you can have with others. Number three, we're going to help with a little bit more in a second, but I hear this a lot and it's completely understandable. I don't know what to say and I'm uncomfortable talking about myself. Okay. Again, we're going to dive into it in a little bit, but start by writing out a few things about yourself that could help others. Remember, you're starting to add value. So, what are some things about you that could help others? You don't know what can help others. Ask your coworkers. If you've been working with your coworkers more than a little while, and you have a good open relationship with just one or two of them, ask them something that you do good that maybe you don't know or you do all the time. Ask your friends. Now, I hear a lot of people say, well, your friends are going to say social things. Sometimes social things can also transition to the workplace. I've had friends tell me you're really good with, detailing things out. Okay, I'm detail oriented in the professional realm. Um, Also have a few questions to ask others about the needs that you have. Remember, this is a relationship, a give and a take. So you're thinking about things, 1 to 3 things you can do to help them. And then think about 1 to 3 things. What is it you're trying to get out of this? Are you trying to get a job? Are you trying to get a promotion? Are you trying to get clients? Are you trying to learn a new field? Okay. Are you trying to learn about the latest technology? Are you trying to crowdsource funding for something? Okay. Think about what it is you're trying to get out. Jot down some questions. Okay. I don't know where to find networking events. Again, we're going to help you with this a little bit more later, but check out places like Meetup, Eventbrite.com, Eventbrite. Check out your local Chamber of Commerce, Small Business Association, etc. These volunteer, there's always opportunities to volunteer, even in the smallest of towns. Like a lot of people said, start there. And then if there are other professionals, which there will be there, ask them, do you go out and network? Ask them out for coffee or something like that. Another problem, and this is just being realistic, is a lot of people want immediate results. They want to network with somebody, and the next day they give them a job paying $200,000. Let's be real. With all things takes time. So our solution there is the more you network, the more you'll start to see results. Because remember, we're not all looking or should not always be looking for money, a job, or clients. There are those intrinsic rewards, building your confidence, building your personal brand, figuring out what your niche is. Okay. I never would have left the classroom if it wasn't for coworkers telling me, you're real good with technology. You're really good with explaining things to people. And you're not condescending. You're good at breaking it down into small steps and then praising me as I accomplished them. It gives me more confidence. These were adults. So it started making me think, maybe I should pivot into adult learning. But because I was networking, I got that feedback. All right. So let's answer that question. I'm going to take a sip of water. What do I even do at a networking event? All right, let's talk about those virtual or in-person ones. First of all, make sure you're attending the right kind of events. I've attended some, and while they were good events, nobody there was going to, my goal was to go there and get some clients. Nobody there was going to end up being my client. Okay, so I had to realize that wasn't the right kind of networking event for me, but conferences like this are. All right, 2, we talked about a minute ago. Make sure you jot down a few things. If you write it down or type it in your phone, it's easier to remember. What can you offer them? And what is it that you want to get before the event? Okay. When you're shaking somebody's hand or you're on that virtual meeting and they put you in a breakout room with 2 people, one of the best things to break the ice, identify common interests. Ask people what they do for a living, okay? Everybody's not an e-learning person, okay? And then figure out what's common between you. Are you all women? Are you all men? Are you all sports fans? It could be something completely unrelated, but identify some common interests. Once you realize we're both San Francisco 49ers fans, it kind of calms things down and breaks that ice, okay? Get to know the person as well as the professional, okay? As you're talking, ask questions and keep the conversation going. What did we talk about before? Add value to the conversation. Now, this is a sneaky trick that I've done, and it's very helpful. If you have social anxiety or you are more of an introvert, here's a strategy for you. Bring a friend or a coworker. If this is open to the public, so there are some networking events here 4 times a year. I decided to give it a try. I have a friend that owns a business, nothing to do with L&D. She does line dancing classes. Okay, but one, I just didn't want to go by myself. And 2, my friend is an extreme extrovert. She will talk to a wall if it will talk back. So I take her to networking events with me, because sometimes she will go up and shake somebody's hand and just start talking to them. And because I'm standing there, they'll automatically want to meet me. Okay, so bring a friend, especially if you know you're more shy, you're more introverted. Bring that extroverted friend or that extroverted brother with you that'll talk to anybody, and you can actually start to learn things from them. Okay. Also, we I think touched on this a little bit earlier. We want to have a colleague introduce you to other people. Okay. Remember, the focus is quality over quantity. You don't need to hand out 100 business cards. If you hand out 3, but they are people who can achieve your goal or you can help them, it's much better. All right, let's talk about what to do on social media platforms, because I hear this all the time. How do you network on these platforms? I'm talking about your Facebook, potentially Instagram, your LinkedIn, your Slack, those types of places. Post good questions. Okay. If it's something you haven't found the answer to, it's not really out there, ask the group. Let the group build together. People actually like when you post good questions. It shows your thinking and it sparks discussion and also diverse viewpoints. Answer other people's questions. I have literally answered people's questions and had somebody inbox me and say, you know what? I see you help a lot of people in this group. Do you do consulting work? I absolutely do. So sometimes, and I've had people say, well, you should be charging these people. Maybe, maybe not. Okay. I take it as good karma, but by answering those people's questions, others are watching. I can't emphasize this enough. Add value. Don't just, answer to be answering to get your name out there. Add some value. Yes, I think that's a good solution. However, if you want it for free, you can go do. Okay. I see what you're saying there, but a better way to do that may be, or here's a few thoughts. And I like to tell people, I'm gonna throw a bunch of solutions at you. Pick what works for you. People love that. Share your content, share wins, share successes. You got a portfolio piece done, share it. You finally got that website up and going, share it. You got a promotion at work, share it. The more people see on platforms like that, the bigger your brand is. Whatever you're good at, your expertise, show it off. I heard of somebody the other day who literally makes six figures in courses showing people how to do needlework. Needlework. I know, I'm sorry, it was knitting. 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 I didn't think people even knitted anymore. But that person showed off her expertise, decided to sell courses, and eventually that has become an income stream. Okay. Don't be afraid to discuss or share your business if it's a solution. So if you're in the chat right now and somebody, I'll tell you, like earlier, I was talking to Rebecca and I was chatting and I said, she does graphic design. I may need to partner with some people who do graphic design for learning and development. Now, see, by her sharing that and having it on her platform, that's a solution for me. So, if someone who may be looking for something you have to offer, don't not share the business unless it's a rule or something. All right. Let's talk about some great L&D places to network. I mentioned earlier, I have a Facebook group for LMS admins. I will say this, it's not just if you have the LMS admin job title. I have a lot of people who are hired as instructional designers, but they also have to do LMS admin duties, and they have no idea how to do their part. Join the group. I have people who might need to hire LMS admins, but they've never been one. Join the group. I have people who create e-learning courses and that's it. But they want to see what would it look like in the LMS. What do you do when it gets there? Join the group. I'll welcome you to join. There's several instructional designer Facebook groups. Again, I'd say keyword search. TLDC has some events. They have a podcast. They have conferences. I think about 4 to 5 times a year like this. Start networking and don't just join. Consider volunteering or presenting. Same thing with GLDC. They have weekly meetups. I think at least twice a week. Start joining. There's an ID Land Slack group. There's an eLearning Heroes Slack group for those who are entrepreneurs. All right. Again, want today's slides? Follow Kate Scott Learning on LinkedIn. In the chat really quickly, before we get to that, what have I missed? What are some other great L&D places to network? I named a couple of Facebook groups, a couple of virtual conferences, a couple of Slack groups. Of course, we know there are a ton of in-person conferences for learning and development. But in the chat, take a couple of moments. Yeah, we've got time. Take a couple of moments and share what are some of your favorite places to network. And while you're doing that, we're going to check the chat and answer questions. Oh, good. Somebody's first time hearing about Meetup. Oh, people like water cooler conversations. That is awesome. Toastmasters was another suggestion for a place. Toastmasters is an organization that helps you with your public speaking skills. And then I saw somebody who said they needed help with an elevator pitch. Toastmasters would be a great one with there. Look at Bridget and Janelle. I see a connection relationship. Look at us networking in the chat. I'm not offended at all. Network, honey. Find a business partner, find a job, find a husband, find a wife, find them both. I find it all in the chat. I'm not offended at all. Most of my current clients come in from sharing testimonials on LinkedIn. I love it. I love it. Okay. Let's see. Some places to network: Learning Guild, Work on Climate. I don't think I've heard of that one. Definitely ATD, the Teacher Career Coach. Comments on LinkedIn. Get in those comments. Get in those. I've had people invite me to podcasts. I had a potential client who liked how I answered something. I've gotten L&D buddies, local chamber of commerce's, Dev Camp, Dev Learn, ONLIP, LinkedIn, and Slack groups. These are all awesome ones. Okay. All right. Last thing. And this is total no pressure here. This is the test, but there's no fail. You only pass this part, okay? Ready for it? Ready for it. And again, I have my commercial break. How do we get the slides? Follow K Scott Learning on LinkedIn. All right, this is our biggie here. I want you all to come up with a personalized plan. Whether you are a number 5 and an expert networker, you had to have learned something in this session today. I could have shared stuff, but the chat has been off the chain. It's on fire in the chat. So there's so many good gems being shared. I see people making connections now. Don't stop, get it. Network in the chat. So based on the information you learned today, okay, or it could be from somewhere else, I want you to make a list. 3, 2, 1. My former teachers, you know where I got that from. Give me 3 benefits you want to get from networking. 3 benefits. Do you want more clients? I do. I want to collaborate with people in the field because I just, I like L&D. I love it. So 3 benefits you want to get. I'll even share mine. I want you to give me 2 networking opportunities you like to try. Again, ones I've listed as well as ones you saw in the chat. Give me 2 networking opportunities. And then just 1 new thing you've learned today. Now, we do want to try to use the information from today, but if it's something else, if it's another networking opportunity you just heard about earlier this morning, feel free to share that. So 3 benefits you want, 2 networking opportunities, 1 thing you've learned. I'm going to go back to the benefits slide for at least 30 seconds. Here are some benefits we shared. I'm looking at my watch. Okay. So remember, pick any 3 of these that you want to get. You can add others from the chat or that you came up with. I'm going to give it about 10 more seconds for you to get 3 benefits. All right. Now, what I want you to do for about the next 20 seconds, you're picking 2 opportunities to network. So they could be some of these examples here. And I'll give you about another 10 seconds on this slide. And then there was another slide where we had opportunities. Excuse me. All right. And here's another cheat sheet for you. Places to get networking events. I mean, networking opportunities. And then, of course, one thing you learn. So, three benefits from networking, two networking opportunities, and one thing that you've learned. Well, I'll give you mine, and then I'm just going to open it up for general questions. Three benefits you get from networking. I've gotten clients from networking, some that I still have today. Maybe 2 years later. Um, I love meeting people in L&D, hearing the different diverse voices and people who may not say much on LinkedIn, may not say much on Facebook, but have so much to share. The other thing I learned about networking is taught me so much about me, about my confidence, about my niche. I've gotten feedback from people and it's been wonderful. Two networking opportunities that I want to try. I've been playing around with one-to-one. I definitely want to do more one-to-one conversations, but I also want to do more presenting at conferences and meeting people that way, meeting people in the chat at conferences. And one thing I learned today, but I should have known, or a question that I have, well, the one thing I learned was volunteering opportunities or even kids' sporting events can be great networking opportunities. And a question I have, feel free to put this in the chat. How did I do today? All right. So I want to thank you for taking this time with me today. Please, in the chat or the Q&A, any questions you have, feel free to ask them. I'm sharing my information, my email address, my personal LinkedIn, as well as my business LinkedIn, Facebook, and website. Thank you so much for your time today. And
So thank you so much, Miss Kim, for giving us all the business about networking and giving us some new options and some new avenues and some new places to go. Let's take a look at the Q&A and see what we've got. If you guys have any questions for Miss Kim, please enter them in the Q&A and we will go through them. So let's start here. Looks like Amy would like to know, what technology would you recommend for creating a portfolio?
oh, don't
Good
know if
question.
that's networking. That's another one. It really depends on what it is. You mean by tech? If it's website and you want something free, Weebly, Wix, and Google have they're the tech you can use. It's free and easy for the website part. If it's for the actual, if you're developing e-learning, I would use like a Storyline Trial. Don't forget about other free or freemium tools. Genially allows you to make a free account. H5P is free if you're in certain LMS platforms. So don't forget to do things like that. Good old PowerPoint or something like a free account that you can use that's free. So do we have another?
Yes, it looks like we do. Looks like we have one more, and that is from Miss Rita. She would like to know, is there such a thing as wasting too much time networking?
I wouldn't say wasting too much time. It really, again, depends on your goals, what you're trying to do, and again, where you're networking. So, like I said, I've tried some local events, and it was really, I went to an event and it was nice, but it was a lot of realtors, and they were really just trying to sell houses. They weren't trying to get vendors, they were just trying to get you to buy a house. I have a house, trying to pay that off. So I had to realize that wasn't the right place. I just needed to spend that time on the women in L&D conference. I just need to spend that time networking in some of the Facebook groups. So I think it's not wasting the time. It's just pivoting your plan and making it work for you.
So it sounds like it's more about targeting kind of where you're going to spend that time and where it's
Correct.
going to
And
be
who
effective.
can help you and who could you could help, because those people weren't looking to pay anybody to do anything, and they had no idea what L&D is, so they couldn't help me and I couldn't help them. But here it seems like I'm helping people. So my time is better spent networking here.
Yes, and we agree. We're so thankful to have had you today. Did anybody else have any questions? Any other questions that they want to kind of throw out? If not, we know that you can actually follow her on LinkedIn. I'm sure by now you've heard the page, but you can go follow K Scott Learning on LinkedIn.com. And you can also go to her website and just kind of take a look. There's a lot of good things on there. I've looked at it today and yesterday just to get a feel for everything. She has a blog. She has a lot of different information. So feel free to visit that as well. And that's kscottlearning.com. But if nobody has anything else, everybody have a wonderful day. Go and network, go forth and be prosperous. And again, Ms. Scott, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right. Bye, everybody.